reality to be focused on me. I'm on TV. I am a Vidiot.
And we're back with another episode of Vidiot on Demand. I'm Phillip Williams. This is Oscar Stävemyr.
Sup, people?
Today we're doing what we've been doing for the past couple of weeks. We are actually showing you a little insight into our nerd brains. We're opening it up and showing you some of the comic books that we've enjoyed throughout the past. So, I don't know why I was doing that. Last time we talked about Miss Marvel. What do you got in store?
Well, why not continue in the same marvelous line with another Marvel comic? And today I'm talking about a miniseries called The Books of Doom.
The Books of Doom. Now, I've never heard of this.
This is to me, the definitive origin telling of Doctor Doom, the arch nemesis of the Fantastic Four, Marvel's perhaps biggest bad guy you could ever imagine. This guy makes Thanos look like a little bitch.
Whoa!
Let me tell you.
Them fighting words.
Yeah, those are fighting words, and I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Check out Secret Wars, like Doom reduces Thanos to a skeleton in like a second or so.
Wow. That sounds fascinating. Yeah. So what about this particular run that makes you really enjoy the Doom character?
Like, to me, I was always fascinated by Doctor Doom because he has such an interesting look. Like, there's not many comic book villains that goes for that kind of medieval robotic look, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's all due to the guys who created him, which is Jack Kirby and the great Stan Lee. Mm-hmm. Both of them are great, so, you know.
Yeah.
And that is so interesting. But what is so interesting to me about Doctor Doom is that he is not your typical bad guy, per se. I would even say that I classify him as a villain, because when I think about Doom, he's like my favorite Marvel character of all time. And
whoa,
let me clarify, he's not my favorite bad guy, he's not my favorite hero, he's my favorite Marvel character of all time. And that's because he has such a unique and interesting history. His backstory is just as layered as he is, and there are so many great things about him. And if you're only familiar with what you've seen in the movies with the Team Story Fantastic Four or with the Josh Trank Fan Four Stick, throw that out of the window, because we are talking about
Victor Domachev.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was.
Which, no, his name is Victor Von Doom, and you best remember it. But what this book really does is that it draws a lot of inspiration from the early Fantastic Four run, when they first introduced him, as well as the John Byrne run of Fantastic Four. But it even expands and explores on his origin. Like, what did he do? Like, what happened to him as a kid? What did he do when he got to the United States? What did he do after he was expelled from university? How did he become the monarch of Latveria? Mm-hmm. For those of you who don't know, Latveria is the country that Doctor Doom is the sovereign of. He's basically the king of this European country, which he rules with an iron fist.
Yes.
But anyway,
but he is a fair ruler.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He really is. And they explore it in this book as well. But what I do love about this is sort of told to us in the perspective of a documentary. So Doctor Doom is talking to somebody the entire time, recounting his origin story. And what is so amazing is that, according to Doctor Doom, his first memories are from when he was spending time in his mother's womb. Like, before he was born, that's when he... Like, that is when he recollects.
He just remembers this.
No, even before that. Like, he himself says that.
Sorry for the image.
Yeah. Forget about Philip, he's being silly.
I gotta do something.
Yeah, but we do get a sense early on, like, how intelligent this guy is. Mm-hmm. And that there's something more to him, because he basically explains that I was always an unusual child, and that might have had something to do with that my mother was a witch and had a lot of dealings with demons. And so they sort of explore as to why who Doctor Doom's mother is, and who his father is, and also who Doctor Doom is as a whole, because for those of you who didn't know, Doom is actually of Romani descent.
Aha. That I didn't know.
So he grew up in a traveling caravan in Latveria, and they were treated as third-class citizens, basically. And Victor's mom was the local witch, you might say. She dabbled a lot in witchcraft and all that. Yeah. And his father was the leader of this Romani tribe. He was also their healer. And they do talk a lot about, in the first issue, about how Cynthia Von Doom, Victor's mom, basically wants a better life for her son. She wants her son to grow up in a country where he can be free, he can do anything, and not be persecuted for who he really is. And so she cuts a deal with Mephisto.
Ah! Mephisto confirmed!
Yes, exactly. Mephisto confirmed! So she cuts a deal with Mephisto for more power, but what he didn't tell her was that as payment, I will take the life of every child in this local Latvian town. Also, I'm giving you power. I didn't just give you enough of control over it. So things are going crazy. Things are going haywire.
Oh my gosh.
And she ends up killing this entire Latvian town until she is shot dead by the ruling monarch's men. And before she dies, she tells her husband, Werner, I think Victor's father's name is Werner Von Doom. She tells him that don't let Victor follow in my footsteps. And so you get the sense that, yeah, Victor and his father continued on living after his mother's death, but they never spoke about her. They never really mentioned what happened. And there's also talks about in Romani camp that we should probably kick Victor and his father out to fend for themselves. But that is when you get one of these badass moments that this book is so fantastic at writing, because this book is so great at putting you inside Victor Von Doom's head and really give you an understanding of who he is. Even as a child, you get the sense that something is really different about him. Because as a 3-year-old, he threatens the entire Romani camp. Like, if you kick me and my dad out, I will become my mother's son. I will find you all, and I will put you all in the ground. And they're like,
wow.
Okay, yeah, no worries, Victor. But,
okay.
yeah, tragedy never happens once. So, unfortunately, Victor's father ends up dying as well. He is killed when he and Victor are trying to escape the king's men. The king of Latveria had a wife who was stricken with cancer. And so the king wanted to cure her, essentially, but Victor's father told her, the cancer has already gotten her. There's nothing I can do. So the king blames Werner for what happened, and he's going to kill him, essentially.
Oh.
So him and Victor has to flee. They have to go to the snowy Alps of Latveria and hide out there. But it's the middle of winter. Their horse ends up dying. And they spent several weeks without food. And one night it's so cold that Victor is freezing. Werner gives him his coat. And the next morning they wake up and Werner has just frozen with Victor in his arms. And Victor just screams for hours. And what is so cool... Sorry, not pun not intended. What is so cool about this story is that early on they talk about cold will also at some point leave burn marks or whatnot.
Yeah.
And so from there we explore, okay, so this is what Victor did after his parents died. He started to fight back against the regime, and this is where they explore his powers a bit more, because for those of you who didn't know, is that Victor Von Doom, Dr. Doom himself, is a sorcerer on par with Dr. Stephen Strange. And he's also a master scientist. this guy is even smarter than Tony Stark, let me tell you.
Yeah, there we go.
Uh,
It's basically those two characters put together in a sense.
Yeah, basically. And Doom knows it, and he's so arrogant about it. But
Yeah.
what I love is how they like start to explore, like, okay, so this is what Victor's time in the United States was like, because the Americans eventually end up recruiting him to a military program because where he lives in Latveria, it's sort of controlled by the Russians. And they're like, so we don't want the Russians to get you, so we're going to get you on our side. And so you can start like inventing stuff for us. Victor's like, okay, I kind of want to get out of Latveria because of stuff going on. So, I'll go with you. And I'll use you and your resources to further my own goals, because that's just what Victor Von Doom does.
Yeah.
But the story goes on, and he eventually has the accident that scars him at the university. And so he goes into, like, he starts dwelling into madness. And this is so good, the writing, because they explore how mad Victor is becoming over this time. Like, he is obsessed that he failed. He is obsessed over that he got scarred. So he just spends his time wasting away somewhere in Europe, like building machinery, taking it all apart, trying to fix it, bringing it to perfection. But he can't get over the fact that he failed. And also, he got very close to the demon who took his mother, Mephisto. And Mephisto is sort of haunting his dreams every night. But what also is so cool is when they explore that when Doctor Doom finally becomes Doctor Doom as we know him, they explore like how he took power in Latveria. And it wasn't as easy as he showed up and was like, okay, so I'm in charge and you do as I say or else I'll kill you. No, there was a very meticulous planned coup. And he really shows what a master strategist he is. Like, he spent weeks circling around Latveria being like, okay, so the strategic point should be here. I should probably make my entrance here. And, oh yeah, I have like a jetpack. It doesn't take me very far, but it does give me a dramatic entrance of sorts. But yeah, and it's just a great book overall because it really puts you in the mind of Doctor Doom and really shows you his point of view, because a lot of times it's like, oh, Doctor Doom is the villain and we gotta stop him, but this really puts you in his mindset. How he views himself, how he views other people, his family, his friends, those that he does have. And I really think it's such a well-written book. And I highly recommend that you read it if you want to get a sense of who Victor Von Doom is.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Because I've actually thought about it, because you and other people have talked about what a great villain and what a great character he is. And so I have been essentially a little bit on the hunt for a good run that really gets me to understand that character. But here's a question for you. Now, there has been a bit of a debate whether or not underneath his mask he actually has a crazy ugly face, or if it's just in his head.
Yeah.
And I believe Kirby himself drew him without the mask and just gave him just a little scar. And it's that imperfection that just drove him nuts. Like, he's just a handsome dude, but he's like, I can't stand it. I'm hideous.
Yeah.
Or what do you prefer on the take? Like, do you prefer him to be a hideous monster underneath? Or do you like it that he's a handsome dude. He's just that vain. Like, what's your...
I sort of, in my headcanon, I sort of combined what they did in the Jack Kirby Stan Lee run and in the John Byrne run. And that is essentially, after the explosion that caused him to be expelled, he only got, like, a very tiny scar. But he's so vain, and he's such a perfectionist that he sees himself like, I'm hideous, I can't be seen in public. And that is essentially what leads him to... That is one of the reasons why he creates the armor. And this is where it really gets interesting, because when he creates his armor, it's like he infuses it with magic and technology, and it's like state of the art. This suit kicks Iron Man's ass like several times. But when the faceplate is done, Doctor Doom is so eager to get it on his face. He doesn't even care that it comes straight from the like blacksmith, and he's like, I'm already scarred enough. I'm already hideous. So he puts the glowing red hot mask on and just becomes even more disfigured. And I love that. That's such a cool origin.
So he can't take it off now at all.
He can take it off, but he rarely does it. I've seen very funny pictures of him like wearing a smoking jacket and being like in casual clothes and just this metal helmet on him.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, there you have it, guys. What was it called again? It was just called Doom?
Books of Doom.
Books of Doom, ladies and gentlemen. Another Marvel wonder. That's what we have for you today. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Later.